Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be focusing on a subject that I mentioned a couple weeks ago. So a little bit of hindsight is that eh, these here were some these were some these were some things I found at a thrift store a couple weeks ago that I featured on an unboxing video. So I haven't gotten around to opening these yet. So see, only paid $1 each for these. Now, surprisingly enough, I've had a few people interested in the kits themselves, in both in the as is condition, especially this car here. But my more thing about doing is rebuilding these to their former glory, just making them look nice, shine them up a little, and of course, it's a bit cheaper than trying to build everything from stock. It's a bit cheaper than buying a new kit and detailing it up. So, if anything, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration. Or, well, I do also have, I do have a container here where I'm going to be putting some parts in. I'm probably going to get some more. So, it's pretty much going to be a case of just going to be opening up the bags, seeing what they're all is. Then, hopefully by my next videos I do of these, I'm going to be showing more that I've got, or more progress, or full-on builds of these kits. So, just a little bit started. An interesting one here is the 6667 Dodge Charger, which I'm thinking is a Revell kit. And comparing it to the size, this is probably a 125th scale car compared to a 124th. As these first gen Chargers were a fairly decent sized car. And then, of course, for the G bodies, they got a bit smaller. And similar with the Fox body Fords. So looking at the Charger first, seeing what parts we've got in here. So starting off, seeing how a lot of the car's already falling apart already. It's got, okay, that's interesting. It's got the hood, it's already got the hood, it still has the both hood latches, which is nice to have. And then got the battery resting on top of the master cylinder, which it's interesting to see how this one here's got the Hemi, which I think the Revell one. This might this might be a Revell car. Actually, it will say. Actually, says RVMM Incorporated 1994. So thing about this is probably this is a Revell kit. So, but it's interesting to see that the car has a Hemi, whereas most would have had, say, a 440, which is definitely, well, I mean, in fact, well, I guess it does have the faintest of badging on the sides. Oh, I guess there's that. What at first I didn't realize was I thought I was missing the front windshield. Well, I also it doesn't have the A-pillar, which I'm probably gonna have to make. But initially I thought I was missing a window, but turns out I do have both front and rear windows, which is really nice, as it's more can be put more towards actually completing the car. And then, here. I did see the A-pillar somewhere. Not sure where it went. Oh, well, here it is. Or at least here's what's left of it. So, got the two pieces here, which interestingly enough, the car has had bare metal foil application put onto the car, which is a nice touch. Might have to redo that when cleaning everything up. And let's see, what's this? Okay, this looks like it's the center console, or the console flap. No, this is actually the rear console flap. So, it's an interesting piece to have. And, of course, with these, because the paint job, surprisingly, the paint job's really nice. It looks like it was professionally painted with with very few blemishes, and not actually brush painted. So these must have been built by a really good modeler, which is quite fascinating, really. As when you come across these rebuild kits, they're mostly in rather rough shape. So that's interesting. So put the charger bits to the side. I'll probably get better containers for the models later on, but for now I'm just making do with what I've got. Okay, here's a windshield wiper, which I didn't think about, but it's nice to have. Not sure if the other one's still here, but doesn't hurt to look. Then got some more trim pieces. The exhaust manifold. Another quarter window, which I think I have the other one. Have the other one somewhere at least. If not, this will probably be used as a template to recreate another one, or unless I can source one out. So there's that. And of course, then got the tires. Some of them have wheel backs, some don't. I'm thinking the ones that don't have wheel backs are the ones where the wheel backs are already installed onto the car. And then the ones with it are where to connect to the back axle. So there's that on the charger. Then going on to the Red Baron Thunderbird. The decals on this one are in a bit of a rough shape. Now there's a bit of yellowing. There's a bit of yellowing in the graphics. This one here is a little less subtle. So, well, if anything, I would just pop the body off. Well, the good thing is that not a lot of glue are on these, so they're fairly easy to take apart. So, I've got the decals are pretty much chipped away, and around the outside they're quite yellowed. But if anything, I could use some touch-up marker and just make them look good. So there's that. Apparently the front bumper's loose. Okay, so I'm seeing how this one would have been painted. So it was just masked off around the sides. Wasn't much sprayed on the inside, which is kind of to be expected. But so if anything, I might just go over with some silver, paint this in, just to get the overall look to be much better. And then loose suspension. Then got the radiator and the cooling unit. Then got Then the front engine roll cage. Few things here and there. Like got the seats. I am realizing now that a lot of these parts here weren't really well glued in, which doesn't really help longevity of the kit, but does help it so that if the vehicle needs to be rebuilt for later on, that does come in handy, as you're not there fighting pieces to take everything apart. Probably might have to take a few more pieces off here and there. The engine looks really nicely done. Old Ford race engine. The fan belts are a little bit loose, but whatever. Well, the engine itself is actually loose. Now, unfortunately, the exhausts are still on, so won't fit through with the exhausts still on. So might pry these off. Let's see if I can get this off. I'll wait later to do that. But looks pretty. Or let's see, will it squeeze through? Okay, that's gonna need some repair work, but got that out. There's quite a lot of pieces actually that are quite loose. Wheel tabs are definitely gonna be needed to be glued back in. Then possibly clean up the paint around the back tire here. So a little bit of that. What I do like is how the builder did do the effort to sand down the tires, which is a nice touch to represent them being used. So there's those exhausts. This is the other side, which isn't on the car. Now the exhaust, that I do know that that's going to have to get painted up to make it look presentable. Then got front and rear windows. More cross members. Got the rear springs. And then is this, not entirely sure what this is. I'm probably going to see where it goes when I start building the car. And while I can always research these kits and find the instructions, I do find that a bunch of these kits here are fairly simple. So okay, now I figured out what these were. These are actually supposed to be the headlights. So on the front of the car here, they just sit into place. Then just glue in like so. But those are loose, which I'm surprised those are still in here. Then got the hood, which is also in fairly decent shape. Same with the decals. A little bit dusty here and there. So that's pretty much that on this car. And then getting on to the Darrell Waltrip car. I've had some people actually interested in this. But of course, not sure when I'm done with these, not entirely sure what I'm going to do with them. But it'll be good to do. But these will keep me busy for a little while. Got these tires as well, have been sanded down. Then got the rear axle. Okay, so seeing here, My guess is that with the tires, there would be the nub sticking outwards so that the tire would sit within. So gonna have to figure out a way to get those readjusted. There's another piece. I'm thinking a piece of sprue or something. It doesn't seem noticeable. Got the rear window. And for this would have been an 80, like an 86, 87 car with the arrow back rear window as a bit of an as a way to create more aerodynamic vehicles. As with the car normally there would be too much drag within, so just having more refined edges I do see would help the overall aerodynamics. Okay, then we got the oil, I think is the oil cooler. So, that. Then the front suspension. Flexible suspension here, but actually it's just falling apart. Then got an exhaust manifold wedged underneath. Or, no. Yeah, got the exhaust manifold for the engine, which is actually quite interesting. Weird, interesting design. How it actually wraps around. See if I can get the engine out. So it wraps around on the sides. So the left and right come together as one. Yeah, left and right come together as one. And then you have the exhaust pipes come out the side towards the left side of the vehicle. So it's a bit interesting. It's also interesting to see that the parts themselves were molded in orange. And then the engine block painted blue, and then a red bell housing with the silver transmission, which is an interesting combination to have, but it's whatever. Then do have parts like the exhaust or the engine head covers with the exhaust cover. So, pretty interesting features on all these kits. And then parts on here are still in really good shape. Then I still have likes of the front and rear window as well. So all the major parts I have are still here, which is really nice. As otherwise, I have to pretty much source out parts, and that in itself takes a lot of time. So being able to build everything in one shot without having to worry about major components is a really nice touch to have. So yeah. But then also, yeah, so okay, so here's more information. So this is it's got a copyright. It's a monogram models, but doesn't say the copyright year. But it's nice to see made in the USA. How don't really have that all too often nowadays. But yeah, the underside, the body itself looks like, or the undercarriage looks like it was just primer gray, and then left, which is understandable. So probably get a few parts glued in here and there, but if anything, each of these will probably get its own dedicated video. So then can at least feature each in the uniqueness of each kit, and then do a little slideshow showing off what parts of these cars or what kits these cars originally were, which is going to be interesting to see. But thinking these are mostly Revell monogram kits. So it should be fairly straightforward to put back together. Yeah, so between for really $3 for 3 essentially complete kits, you can't really go wrong with that. As otherwise you end up paying like say $5 for an incomplete kit, and then you're still trying to figure out where all the parts are, and having to go through kits and then forum groups trying to find the pieces you're needing. So, if anything, I got off really lucky on these. So, I think that'll do it for this video. And until next time, see ya.